Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Breaking Burgers with Sreehari. Web3, it has been in the news of late and there has been a lot of chatter regarding the entire concept of Web3. So, what exactly is Web3? Let's find out. Before we go ahead and understand what Web3 really is, let us look at the previous versions of the internet, the Web 1 and the Web 2. When the Web 1 came out, it was visible that it was only for the content creators. Public viewers like you and I there was no platform for us to express ourselves or comment or give suggestions regarding the text or the content that was being displayed. And in this version of the web, it was all static websites, which means that all of these websites were coded on HTML and there was no room for creativity and a lot more appealing website for the viewers. And then came Web 2, which took over and replaced the Web 1 because it had all the features that the Web 1 didn't. It had more dynamic websites, which was obviously more appealing to the viewers and as well as the content creators. And there was also a provision for the viewers to go ahead and express themselves. And this is the main reason why social media is playing such a huge impact in all of our lives today. And this was the start of a two-way communication between the content creators and the viewers. And now we have the Web3. Now, what exactly is Web3 made of? So Web3, from what I have read and understood, is made of three major components. So the first of them is edge computing, second is decentralized data centers or data networks, and the third is artificial intelligence. Edge computing basically means that the computation processes of the data is done at its source or somewhere closer to the source of the data. Now, why is this done? It is just to ensure that the network is boosted and the latency of the network is reduced significantly. And the second point is decentralized data networks. Decentralized data networks or decentralized apps enables people across different places to sell their data while retaining the ownership of their data. This means that the reliance that we are putting on the third-party apps to protect and have user privacy is no longer required. We have complete 100% true ownership of the data. And finally, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has and machine learning algorithms have advanced so much so that we have been able to create highly useful predictions and sometimes even life-saving decisions have been made using artificial intelligence. If the Web3 rolls out, experts say that it is the first step towards a data economy where economic and geopolitical decisions are taken solely on the basis of data. And now this is all about Web3. Now, why exactly are we trying to, let's say, replace Web 2 and bring in a new version of the internet is also important. And so the first of the reasons is the user privacy that we are lacking in Web 2 right now. This Web 3 promises the users a lot more privacy and control over their personal as well as financial data. And this is also due to the fact that Web 3 does not aim to be under the control of these giant tech companies like the Web 2. And due to the extensive usage of AI, like I had mentioned earlier, the distinguishing between good data and bad data also becomes really, really easy, which means that the data that we're seeing on the internet right now, if the Web 3 rolls out, is going to be much, much more reliable and accurate. And now coming to the biggest positive or advantage that the Web 3 is going to have. It is the inclusion of 3D graphics in the Web 3. And this is probably the most talked about topic every time there is a discussion on the Web 3. This basically means that concepts like metaverse is going to be a reality in the coming future. This is also the reason why, if you look closely, there are a lot of tech companies across the globe investing into the concept of virtual environment. Because as per tech experts and tech gurus, this is going to be the future. And the other thing that many people have the misconception about is that Web 3 is going to replace Web 2. But let me assure you, that is not the case. Instead, Web 3 aims to create an atmosphere where Web 2 and Web 3 can coexist and provide an immersive user experience and interface for its users. And now, like every other thing, even Web 3 has certain downsides, and just like how it has positives. And as far as from what research I have done, it has only two major downsides to it as of now. And the first of them is that the internet addiction is going to be really severe. Because of the interface being so much more immersive, the tendency to get addicted to internet is going to be really huge. And if it is not used in the right manner, it will have a really adverse impact on the mental well-being and psyche of the users. And this is definitely the most standout concern amongst the two. The other possible downside that I felt that despite Web3 promising that it will no longer be in the hands of these giant tech companies, there is no guarantee to that. And this could also be because of the reason that Web2, the internet that you and I are using right now, is also in the hands of these super giant tech companies. It is entirely under their control. So I don't see how Web3 can completely break the shackles and become something of a distinct internet just for its users. Now, how this will play out is a question for the future. Whether the downsides will have a major impact than the positives, or will the positives overtake, I'm not really sure. But of one thing that I'm sure is that it is a really interesting concept and it is intense at the same time. And the main thing is that it can have a major impact on the 7.9 billion people that live on Earth today. And on that note, I would like to thank you all for being patient listeners. I hope you have understood or at least gotten insights regarding what is Web3. Let me know in the comment section below regarding what you think about Web3, and I'll be back soon with another episode of Breaking Burgers. Until then, keep breaking.